Hello! I'm the Commie!
And I am the Liberal. And I want to just tell you that I'll be doing the show with Trevor from 4 to 5 today for an hour, and on 4 William Taylor be taking over from 5 to 7. I'm not feeling good right now, everybody. I have an upset stomach, so I won't be able to do the show for a full 3 hours today.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. Good news is we're coming on a week earlier than we thought we would. Hurricane Ida hit New Orleans,
New
and
Orleans, and it knocked out the power for 6 days.
yeah, it was a little bearable. Not really, though.
It was unbearable because we had no air conditioning and we had a stomach virus last week because the electric went out.
Yeah, we had lots of problems, but thankfully
Yes.
we're okay. And I know uh, thoughts and condolences to all those who had died with the hurricane. We're lucky that we're not one of those people. And it's interesting that the deaths that occurred from the hurricane came from the northeast, considering it hit the Gulf first. You'd think it would be a little opposite, but I guess the strength of the hurricane was stronger in the northeast, oddly enough, than it was in the Gulf.
And I want to tell you with Hurricane Ida, when it hit the Gulf, it was a Category 5 hurricane. And by the time it hit the Gulf as a Category 5 hurricane, a week into to a tropical storm when it hit Biloxi, Mississippi. And then after that, then it weakened to no hurricane. But then Ida, we shrank them by the time it made its way to Pennsylvania to a tropical storm. And then we shrank into a Category 1 hurricane when it made its way to New York and New Jersey, and then it blew out the sea. But I want to just tell you, everybody, that Hurricane Ida knocked out 1 million power lines. 1 million people were without power because of Hurricane Ida. And Energy was able to restore 400,000 customers that were without power because of Hurricane Ida. So that means 600,000 people are still without power to this day because of Hurricane Ida.
Yeah, well, of course, since we're in New Orleans, we get higher priority than maybe some other areas of the state. This state do so, but our mayor Latoya Cantrell, she did a good job, and Governor Edwards, our governor John Bell, he'll be getting new relief and aid from the federal government. I do want to break some breaking news as we come on the air. The Wire actor Michael K. Williams was found dead in his New York apartment. Um, reported he was 54. Quote, it is with deep sorrow that the family announces the passing of Emmy nominated actor Michael Kenneth Williams. They ask for your privacy while grieving this unsurmountable loss. His long time rep Mary Anna Schifrin of Schifrin PR confirmed with media outlets. So, among most recent performances was as Montrose C. Freeman in HBO's Lovecraft Country, for which he received a 2021 Emmy nomination. The actor was best known for his role as Omar Little in HBO's The Wire and as Chalky White in AMC's Boardwalk empire. So tragic news. I'm very sorry. And I extend my condolences to his family. We both do during this very difficult time for them.
Excuse me, everybody. I'll be right back.
And I guess
We'll take
I
our
guess
first break, I guess. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
this is the commie and the liberal.
Hello, everybody. We're back.
Welcome
back. This is the commie and the liberal right now. I want to just tell you, everybody, that there are some cities that are underwater because of Hurricane Ida. Grand Isle's underwater, New York City's underwater, and of course, New Jersey's underwater. See, some cities are underwater because of Hurricane Ida. The subway in New York got flooded because of Hurricane Ida. That goes to show you that New York City is going to have to raise the ground level again, since it's starting to flood now because of the hurricane. Back in the 1970s, New York City had to raise the ground level because the hurricane kept hitting New York City, and New York City will keep flooding because of the hurricane. That's why back in the 70s, they had to raise the ground level for that reason. And by the way, speaking of Hurricane Ida, we got 2 more hurricanes on the way. You got Hurricane Larry and Mindy. Hurricane Larry is a Category 4 hurricane by the time Wednesday gets here. And that Category 4 hurricane is supposed to make its way to Bermuda on Wednesday. And Bermuda is going to be dealing with another dangerous storm. And we got another dangerous storm to deal with out that way. Then you got Hurricane Mindy, which is in Central America right now, which is just a regular storm. It will be a tropical storm by Sunday of next week. And there's a 30% chance of tropical development in the Gulf because of hot and humid water. The Atlantic Ocean has hot and humid water, and it's all because of climate change. That's another example of climate change. Hot and humid water in the Atlantic Ocean and Gulf of Mexico, and that has to change. We got 2 people that are in the Senate that are climate change deniers. You have Christian Cinema, and then after Christian Cinema,
you were going to say Joe Manchin. They actually are not climate deniers, but they are obstructionists.
Yeah, they are obstructionists.
And they held back, and I complained the last episode or so that we did, because they ended the minimum wage with Mark Warner. And not only did they do that, but they also blocked are blocking the budget bill. Now Manchin seems to be joining cinema. So now they are blocking the budget bill, which has universal pre-kindergarten, paid family and maternal leave, and free community college for all. All of that sounds great and is great. And it makes no sense that two senators, that anybody would oppose this. Obviously, conservative elites will obviously oppose this for obvious reasons. But rank and file regular Republicans actually support free college. Independents largely support free college. Democrats support free college and paid family and maternal leave. And you know what those two things, paid family and maternal leave, are going to do? Is going to get people in the workforce and make people accept jobs. Because the reason why people are not accepting jobs right now, the reason why the unemployment rate is 8.2 million is because the only jobs available are starvation wage jobs, minimum wage jobs that are starvation based, and the capitalist base, and have no benefits at all. Paid family and maternal leave will get them into the workforce because they will like benefits. They will get benefits, actual things they need. And that's just the floor, not the ceiling of what workers deserve in this country, in Canada, in Finland, in France, everywhere. So why? I can't understand. What is the point they're trying to do? And these so-called centrists, they're really right-wing conservatives. They're far-right conservatives, according to the polls. Every single person supports it. It makes no sense. Nobody likes to deny the amount of support that they get, and which is not much at all.
I wanted to tell you, everybody that's watching, is that Christian cinema, as well as Joe Manchin, are guilty of obstruction of justice. You want to know why they're guilty of obstruction of justice? Because they didn't raise the minimum wage, the $15 an hour, to those paying jobs that are outside of that door right now. Because I tell you, when you don't raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour outside of that door, that's obstruction of justice. Absolutely. And that's what they're guilty of. They're guilty of obstruction of justice. And you know what? If they do not raise that $15 an hour minimum wage, more people are just going to be working at home than going to work outside. Nobody's going to want to go to work outside if they do not raise the minimum wage to $15
or people just
an hour.
Won't work at all. See, that's the problem. That's why it's dumb getting rid of the unemployment benefits are more generous than the actual jobs that are available. That's why the millions of people are not in work and doing work. It's because capitalism, being what capitalism is, a con, is not providing these workers what they need. and the help and the benefits that they need, because that's how capitalism works. It never provides the market. You can't rely on the market to entirely end things like poverty, because the market, the way the market works, the so-called free market, is billionaires and capitalists are taking money from the poor, and they are making their money off of capital, and they are not giving everyone else a fair shake. So that is the problem here with capitalists and capitalism in general. And that is why communism all the way, we need it, because then workers would have all of what they need, and that's a democratized economy in their countries and in this country, because we do such a poor job at maintaining and helping work and rewarding work. We don't do that, and we do try as much as we can to reward the rich and the wealthy for doing, in some cases, nothing at all. So we need better, and we deserve better. Every worker does.
And by the way, everybody, every worker deserves more money.
Exactly.
And not to the rich person that refuses to give that worker more money than they're supposed to. All it does is put these people out on the streets, kills people, have people have problems with starvation, not being able to have something to eat or something to drink. It causes people not to be able to pay their bills, pay their rent. And it also causes people not to be able to move out of here or evacuate from a storm. And then they wonder why these poor people or middle class end up dying of starvation, homelessness, no electric, hurricane, snowstorm, as well as no water, no drinks. And of course, no shower, not being able to pay bills or the rent. Now, let me put it to you this way. Green Day made a music video called American Idiot. American Idiot describes everybody that's in denial and cannot refuse to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Those who voted against it.
And those who voted against it. So as we continue our show for the until 5 o'clock with me and my brother, and from 5 to 7 with our father William Taylor and of course my brother. Right now we're going to play the song American Idiot to show you how dumb all of you people are for voting down the $15 an hour minimum wage. All of you are dumb because of what you just did, and you will pay for what you just did. Here comes Green Day, our song, American Idiots. That describes all of you that voted down the $15 an hour minimum wage.
If you lose election, you deserve it.
That's true. You lose election, you deserve it, because we had no business falling down the minimum wage. All these suckers.
This is a perfect way to show solidarity with workers today on labor.
not a part of a redneck agenda. Now everybody to the propaganda. And sing along at the age of paranoia. Welcome to a new kind of tension. All across the area of the show. Everything is about to be okay. Don't be trying dreams of tomorrow. When I love the ones of tomorrow. Is it enough to rock you?
Well, the idiot. All across the area, they does. The rest of be okay. Tell me if your dreams of tomorrow. They're not the ones that let the follow. Well, that you're not to argue. There you go.
There you go, all of you
Marion
suckers that voted down the minimum $15 an hour minimum wage. That's what that song describes, all of you suckers that voted down the $15 an hour minimum wage.
Fuck you.
That's why. All of you.
Can't believe I said.
And you have
Actually, I can believe I said that.
Yeah.
They deserve.
Yeah, they did deserve it
Because what they did was a big FU in the face of workers and everywhere. It's wrong.
Yeah, it's totally wrong that they voted down the $15 an hour minimum wage because it puts people on the streets. It kills people. It causes starvation. It causes people not to be able to get something to drink. Causes people not to be able to pay their rent,
Nobody,
pay their bills, not be able to evacuate.
Can live on $7.25 an hour. People can't live on that. Workers can't. It's so outdated, the wage. Why can't we raise it? Oh, I know why. It's because capitalist corporate billionaires, Republicans, and corporate Dems like Mark Warner and Cinema and Manchin are against raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. For what? And for what? So that way billionaires and the rich don't have to spend. So that way they keep more of their profits away from the people who gave them that money, who work. Every worker works their ass off to make the boss and to kick up to the CEO and make their money. It's only right and fair that CEOs and corporations gave up money and gave the money back to the worker, and that's why we need to upend and end capitalism as we know it, and we need to transition to a democratized economy where workers will have a fair say and everybody has a say in everything, and people have a share of in each company they work for. That would give them their money. And we need to have Medicare for all, because that's another thing we do. This is how we do it, people in America. We charge people $15,000, $30,000, $100,000, in some cases even in the millions. Look at how much the AIDS vaccine costs. Millions. Remember that? The CEO increased it to what? $30 million? How evil and how unrepentant these people are, these wealthy billionaire freaks who control the country's economy and plutonomy and continue to increase and rapidly rise everywhere. It's wrong, and we need help. We need people to pull through and create an economy that works for everyone, that works for the many and not the few. And that's what we need. And Marx was advocating for it alongside Engels in the 1800s and 20th century. And we've been seeing the same amount and the same type of inequality for centuries now. Decades. We need help, and we need to create a better create economy that works for all, not just for a few privileged citizens.
All of you people, is as far as I'm concerned, should make all the vaccines free, and people should have to pay their asses $30 million for any vaccine, and not even the AIDS vaccine. That AIDS vaccine is there for a reason. The AIDS vaccine is there for people to take, so that way it'll keep them from getting AIDS. It's as simple as that, people. So to all of you asshole billionaires that created the AIDS vaccine and charging people $30 million for the AIDS vaccine, all of you billionaires should make the AIDS vaccine free and not charge people $30 million for the AIDS vaccine.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
And if that's what you're going to charge for the AIDS vaccine, what's going to happen with the COVID vaccine? Because they are saying, and I know I've said this before on the show, but I want to reiterate, they said we need to have a booster shot every 6, or in some cases every 8 months. It differs by each company. What's going to happen when it gets to the 5th shot? Are they going to start charging people for that? They will, because big pharma and the greed of the wealthy stretches to bounds of evil. We have to realize that we need to have the right amount of money to help people out, and we do, but it's being spent on forever wars, and it's being spent on tax cuts to the wealthy, the same people who are supposed to help us out and take care of us via the free market, which is supposed to work. It doesn't. So what we need, again, is a democratized economy where workers have their say and their rights, and they are not being abridged by those who are higher up. And we need to also reform the National Labor Relations Act, and maybe the PRO Act could add this and put this in, and increasing the amount of fines for companies that violate unions and rights, because the rights of unions have declined for years now because of, and a lot of times in spite of, the fact that the government and state governments have passed right to work laws, and these laws hurt unions and prevent people from having that right. And that would decrease if we have more union rights. It would create more benefits for workers, and we would have a decrease, not an increase, a decrease in unemployment. Now, you won't hear that from the people of the Chicago school and the Austrian school, who are both fraud economists. But everybody else in the mainstream and in the Keynesian and the Marxian economic barriers believe that schools believe that it could work. Yeah.
So to let you know that people go to school to learn. People do not go to school to commit fraud. The Austrian government
The
is
Austrian economics.
the Austrian economics is guilty of fraud. They committed fraud in schools. Well, in the end, they would give the students the one answer. As far as I'm concerned, in actuality, it's the other answer is the right answer and not the one answer.
Yeah, that's
And the answer that you gave them
Yeah.
was the one answer. Everybody, yeah,
Yeah.
that's not right. The give students the one answer and not the right answer, because that's fraud. Giving students the one answer and not the right answer, because students are there to succeed and get their high school diploma and get their college degree and start their own career or go to work. Students are not there to commit fraud. It's as simple as that. For example, here in the United States of America, Donald J. Trump committed fraud at Trump University.
Yeah, and speaking of fraud, I wanted to mention something that's trending on Twitter right now, and I want to go over to Twitter. My therapist's voice is making choices. When Drake said my therapist's voice is making choices for me, I will. I wonder my clients hear mine. That's from my therapist. It's funny, but anyway, that's not why we're going to Twitter. The reason why we're going to Twitter is Tom Selleck, the actor. Everyone knows Magnum PI and his current show Blue Bloods. He is being accused, and there are some people who are calling for a boycott of all movies because he is being accused of fraud with regards to his reverse mortgage commercials. And I think, now obviously, I don't know if it is fraud. But let me just say, I would not be surprised if it was. Now, Tom Selleck
Is
rich, but here's the thing. I think the problem with the insurance industry is a total scam. So I'm not shocked if it was a scam, because if you look at all the insurance companies, there are insurance companies that will charge you $95,000 just for $75,000. That's a scam.
That's a total scam.
That's why we need to do away with these with insurance companies altogether, or we need to nationalize them and take them into public ownership. Because I cannot tell you how many stories and how many instances there are of people suffering because the insurance companies scam the hell out of them, and do so in such a disgusting and quantitative manner. And I think it shows just how bad these insurance companies are. And there are many reports that in the news of insurance companies committing all sorts of fraud.
I'm going to put it to you this way. No insurance company that is rich has not committed fraud. All insurance companies
Exactly.
that are rich commit fraud all the time. And do you want to know why they commit fraud all the time? Because they don't care about the poor people or middle class. They only care about the rich, and that's wrong.
They do, and there's not a single insurance company, hardly any, who have not committed some form of fraud, who have not committed some form of capitalist con jobs in their life. So the point is, I would not be shocked if there was fraud there, because that's what we're used to seeing from these insurance companies. And that's why I'm never getting an insurance buy rate. I'm never going to do that with my life, and you shouldn't either. Don't be fooled by these insurance companies who try to sue, who try to do everything in their power to take money from you, and you get very little of anything in return. Don't ever buy out for rate for an insurance company, because I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, it's always going to be a scam, and it's always going to be something that is unrich for you, that is bad for you, the consumer.
Now I'm going to tell you, everybody, I'm moving on to work at home.
A lot of people doing work at home because of the pandemic.
Yes, because of the pandemic, and not only that, it's because people keep not raising the minimum wage. Now I'm going to tell you the legit work at home websites are Wise.com, Survey Junkie, Vendor Research, Inbox Dollars, and Swapbucks.com. And of course, Nielsen. One of the things I want to tell you, Wise.com pays you $10 to $25 per an hour. It's a great workathome.com website. You will get rich in no time. It will take months, but you will get rich in no time. Now, even if you go to work at home, you still have to file income tax whether you're rich or not.
Someone doesn't want to file. I'm not going to go into that. But
of course, someone doesn't want to file that's poor and not rich because of the way the IRS treats poor people. But of course, even if you
think the IRS would go after the rich because they're the ones with all the money and resources, they should not go after the poor. Instead, we should be giving relief to the poor via universal UBI, universal basic income. Let's get on it. That's something that should maybe be in the budget. Although I know it's hard to get moderates. I don't even call them moderates. I call them capitalist corporate Dems, and Republicans, obviously, to get them on board. So maybe that's why. I think that's a shame, because even the corporate Dems, part of the reason why is because they think they live in this fantasy world. People like Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin and the 9 conservative Democrats that try to withhold their votes, like Josh Goldheimer or whatever his name is, Gothelhammer. He and the rest of them live in this fantasy world that these ideas are somehow unpopular. And they live in this world where that isn't fantasy, where they get under the cut, in some cases, broad contributions. I'll even call it bribes, because that's basically what it is, legal bribery, from big soup PACs. and from these super PACs. And what they are doing is they are trying to have an policy where they live in this world where this is unpopular, where people suddenly are going to have a backlash. I believe it. I would tell you this is the problem with politicians in general. I tell you, most of them live in this fantasy world where they actually think these things are unpopular. They are not. And I think they live in this brain hole fantasy land where things cannot get done because they're not doing anything they can't do. And I think it's wrong for them to think it. And we, the public, need to march. We need to strike. We need to realize and make them realize. And I think leadership, Democratic leadership, if they care, and they do, at least Pelosi seems to care, should do everything in their power to put as much pressure on them as possible. But as I said the last episode or 2 episodes ago, last week or 2 weeks ago, Pelosi is strong. She is a good leader. As I don't always agree with some of the things she does in regards to the squad with the left and some of her, I would even call patronizing treatment of those on the left, progressives, but Schumer is not like her. He's not that strong of a leader. So otherwise, Sinema and Manchin would have buckled a while ago. Bernie is basically doing this all by himself, and he's basically is the only one who's doing anything really in retaliation. He's campaigning in their states, Arizona and West Virginia, to try to get voters and the public to rise up against them, to vote and make them vote for this very necessary, crucial budget bill, which would give lots of money. It would give $200 billion to the poor. It would give universal pre-K. I know I mentioned this earlier, but I want to bring it up again. It will give paid family and maternal leave, and it would give free community college. Only a fool would oppose things like that. It makes absolutely no sense at all that someone would oppose some stuff like that. And it makes no sense unless, of course, they're being paid under the table by corporations who maybe don't want that and maybe want the poor to get poorer so they can take advantage of those same people. That's what corporate America believes. And I think that's in the main ideology and in the heads of most of the boardrooms, if not all of the boardrooms in the U.S., and to a lesser extent in Europe, because in Europe, at least they know how to take care of people better. And Canada, they do as well. And that's not me being anti-American. That's just me being a realist.
And by the way, everybody, I wanted to tell you, everybody, speaking of poorness and starvation, we have a song from Ace of Base called Happy Nation. And Happy Nation, of course, is about starvation and, of course, homelessness. And we were going to play you a song from Ace of Base, Happy Nation, just to show you, everybody, how bad starvation and homelessness is. and to show you everybody that has to change, because homelessness and starvation is wrong. And to be honest with you, you should be raising that minimum wage to $15 an hour, not keep it at $7.25 per an hour. It's as simple as that. So for all of you assholes that are watching this that did not raise the minimum wage $15 an hour, we're gonna play you a song called Happy Nation.
Sorry, it's taking a while. But
This advertisement. Advertisements always mess up the
I hate
song. I hate them too. Bunch of creeps. It was Happy Nation, everybody. Ace of Base. That was Ace of Base, everybody. Happy Nation. That has to do with homelessness as well as starvation. That describes you, all of you assholes that did not raise the minimum wage $15 an hour. That also describes it. And let me put it to you this way. When you look at that GDP growth from Meet the Press the couple Sundays ago, the economics is horrible in the United States of America because nobody raises the minimum wage $15 an hour from the federal government from DC. Now, let me put it to you this way. Certain states that are on our side, which are liberal, raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. But you also got states that did not raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour that are on Donald J. Trump's side. Now, we're going to go ahead and move on to the midterm elections and the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, there's also the California recall election, which is going on right now. That'll occur on September 14th. And that is interesting.
And by the way, everybody, moving on to the coronavirus pandemic, the COVID-19 death rate went up by 543 people yesterday. We have 158,000 new cases. We're averaging 1,500 deaths per day. Dr. Fauci had something to say about that death rate on Face the Nation yesterday. Dr. Fauci wants everybody, even if they don't have a low immune system, to get a booster shot so that way they won't get a breakthrough infection of COVID-19. The majority of people that get breakthrough infections of COVID-19 have low immune systems. And it's as simple as that.
Have already enacted phasings of $15 an hour minimum wage include California, Connecticut, Florida, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Illinois, Maryland, and Rhode Island. Virginia may also raise its scheduled wage of $12 in 2024 to $15 by 2026 if reapproved by the General Assembly.
And of course, Colorado raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour too a couple years ago. But Virginia is going to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour in 2024. That's pretty good for Virginia, especially since if you live in Virginia for like a whole year, you could get $10,000 on your next income tax for being a statewide citizen for a whole year. And that is the good thing, plus the income tax money that you're going to be getting. Moving on to income tax, poor people that file income tax, that's supposed to get $15,000 that they just made this year, don't get that $15,000. The federal government and IRS takes most of that $15,000 and gives it to the rich instead of the poor, and only gives that poor person $5,000. And that's lousy, by the way. That poor person should be getting $15,000 when they receive their income tax money that they just made this year, and not the rich people getting $15,000 that they just made this year for going to work and, of course, filing income tax. Now we're going to move on, of course, to the COVID-19 vaccination. We're going to go over the smart news for that. COVID-19 vaccination rate. Now, it's going to come up. The COVID-19 vaccination rate is now up to 53% for fully vaccinated in general, and 62.3% with at least one dose. Now, as of course Sunday, COVID-19 death rate went up to 354 people. The new cases, as of yesterday, 38,256 people. Saturday's new cases and deaths were a lot worse than Sunday, but still too many people. The majority of those deaths are children, and hospitals are overwhelmed right now because children are in the ICU because they did not get vaccinated and because of COVID-19. Now, they will have a vaccine for children under 12 to Wednesday of next week. Also, moving on to Hurricane Katrina. Sunday of last week was the 16th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina still remains the worst hurricane in U.S. history. Some people are saying Hurricane Ida is the worst hurricane in U.S. history, but other people are saying Katrina is the worst hurricane in U.S. history. I say Katrina to this day is the worst hurricane in U.S. history because it covered 3 states and it put 3 states underwater: Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. And it was a Category 5 hurricane when it hit. And that's why Hurricane Katrina still remains the worst hurricane in U.S. history for that reason. Not only that, we got a hurricane that's getting ready to become Category 5, and that's Hurricane Larry. And Hurricane Larry becomes Category 5, it will tie Hurricane Katrina, and it will also be tied as the worst hurricane in U.S. history, by the way. Also, when Hurricane Katrina hit, they separated families. George W. Bush separated families. They had the mom go to Texas, they had the father go to Georgia, and they had the children go to Kansas just because they were poor and not rich, and that was wrong. And yes, the families were able to get back together, but still didn't get their children back, and their children were still in foster care, and that's wrong. And just because the families are poor and not rich does not mean that they should be separated.
Yeah, and look at what Trump did with the children at the border. How he evilly separated kids from their parents at the border and locked them up in cages, and in places where babies, in some cases, died. There were children who died because of this. Over 200 children died in the cages at the southern border. How is this man able to spend one night outside of a prison cell? Why is he not in prison right now?
Because Trump should be in prison and not be on his feet right now for murder, terrorism, treason, as well as separating children from their families.
Prison is wrong, but even I think that was a joke.
This is why God showed his wrath in August 2018. It was on Seth Meyers. God striking lightning on the Capitol building because of what Trump just did with separating children from their families. Now, if we have a video of Seth Meyers, some closer look segment on God showing his wrath, we will show it to you guys, but unfortunately it's probably been taken off of YouTube by now. But we'll see if we can find it. If we can find it, we're going to show it to you guys on air on Wednesday on the Commie and the Liberal. And by the way,
so let me just mention one last thing about wages. A lot of companies, this is a report from NBC News, wage theft can include paying less than legal minimum wage, not paying overtime, barring workers from taking meal breaks, or requiring off-the-clock work. And it affects the most vulnerable workers, those who are desperate for pay and willing to take temporary jobs, who may be undocumented and who may be paid by subcontractors in cash. The emergency repair and cleanup business, which has proven an attractive investment target for private equity firms in recent years as natural disasters have intensified, combines many of those theft, fraud, theft cases in this country.
Okay, everybody. As for the death warrant cases, one last thing with the death warrant cases. It has to change the death warrant cases because it's not necessary and it's hurting every single poor person and middle class person across the United States. And by the way, everybody, our father William Taylor is going to be taken over from the Commie and the Liberal. We're going to be going into hour two. This is the Commie and the Liberal, and I'll see you on Wednesday from at 4 o'clock p.m.
This is the Commie and the Liberal. We'll be taking a break. We'll be right back, and we'll be joined by our dad,
William Taylor. So our dad William Taylor will be on it after the break.
We'll be back. This is the Commie and the Liberal. Happy Labor Day. So here we are, hour 2. We're back. This is the Commie and the Liberal. I am joined by my dad.
Hi,
Mark,
everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful day. The weather right now, at least in our part of the area, is pretty sunny out there. Pretty nice. Of course, a little too hot temperature. But what you want is August, right? So with that, hey, I was going to bring something up. Mentioned on August Sunday, August 29th, at around 11 a.m. it all began with the storm. At around 4 p.m., the storm knocked out all electric. Where we live, which is in Midtown area, electric stayed out till 9:15 Friday night. So for 6 days, we were without any type of electric. I've heard some areas also had loss of water as well. Much damage throughout the Midtown area. Took a walk with my 2 sons, and we were checking out the area, trying to see if the ATM was working. It wasn't. Stuff like that. And
Yeah, Capital One, when are you going to open up? I need to make a purchase, a transfer.
The president declared a national disaster.
That's right.
So, which is great. The workers from different states have been most wonderful with all that they've offered with helping people here, coming from different states, that are neighbors or
Survivor.
They're reaching out like all over, to help and everything. Our gratitude must be very expressed. Getting ready. By the way, getting ready to begin my show on Halloween, October 31st this year. Shall keep you informed. Be ready for the unexpected.
Yeah.
I've been daily watching the news on television and all that. Mostly see crowded activities such as sports, festivities, movies, and so forth. Then there are groups of school kids with no protection. Same with the teachers. Sickness is not expressed. They don't even bring it to the forefront. Money is being made and used to lead people to inducing hundreds or thousands of groups of people who have an illness. Well, hey guys, tomorrow I shall wake up in the next day and the next and the next, so far from and beyond. Don't you want to? Hey, are you watching, Mr. Trump? You are the guilty one. Should do a citizen's arrest by all the people. Let us get him now.
Well, yeah, and of course, it'd be interesting to see, given the abortion ban in Texas, how people would react if there was a law passed saying that we could imprison the governor for doing illegal
Well, hey,
illegal.
Excuse me, I'll interrupt and all that. I was going to say, please get things cleaned up and tidied and all that. We're going to be coming your way, Sunshine State, moving to the good beauty of the land, but it's not beauty. Not with that idiot you have as a governor. You gotta get rid of him. Cancel him out now.
Well, we will talk about more on DeSantis as we do on this show all the time, but
Okay.
we're talking about the other fake who is in office, Governor Gregg of Texas, and his approval rating is 41% of Texans approve. Now his approval rating is down compared to 50% who disapprove of his job performance. Beto O'Rourke, if you're watching this, run for governor. You have a chance to win. He would be the perfect guy to be in office and to be run for governor. He would be the perfect guy. Great choice. Run for governor, please, Mr. O'Rourke, Meadow, because he would be a great governor. So, yeah.
Sounds like a nice possibility.
And we don't like Greg. We don't like him for his getting rid of unemployment benefits. We don't like him for his COVID response. We don't like him for his gun, the absolute open carry gun law that he proposed through the administration of his in the state legislature. We don't like that. It's wrong on many levels, and we oppose you strongly, and I hope to God that you don't get reelected, because then just think of how many more people could die if his views on COVID and guns are made into policy. It would be just like Texas, and thousands already have died because of the laxing, and in some cases no at all restrictions against COVID. And Texas is basically another Florida, and Florida is not doing well either because of restrictions being taken off. Although now there actually has been the courts; people have fought back through the courts in that state, so maybe they'll force him to allow for the mass mandates to be enacted in that state.
It used to be back when, went down to the Sunshine State in 1972, I believe it was. And as a little teenage kid going to high school, my sisters were both in grammar school.
Wow, 52% of voters said the state Texas is heading in the wrong direction, the worst the Institute has recorded since 2008. And it decreased his approval rating more significantly among independents, which is what we need, because it's independents that are going to turn the election over to the Democratic. So absolute, this is good news coming out of Texas, that people are starting to wise up from the state. I know my therapist is from Texas, and he is not a fan of him at all, and neither am I.
I do my talking to my friend, to keep on track and all that. And sometimes it helps, talk a little bit and all that. And what do you want, man? Springuli, he's cool. I let the cat out of the bag. Was it a black one? All right. I was making funny about a common black cat, about the spell, don't let a cat walk in front of you, or don't you walk in front. I don't know how it goes. It goes something like that. But I love all cats.
Cadillac, Jacket by.
Sounds like a movie I heard. Cadillac Run with, what do you call it? Clint Eastwood. So what are you finding there on that ledger you have? I would look at mine, but it's empty right now. Last night we were watching Spenguli, the weekly, horror movie on Saturday nights at 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time. And again, I was through the movie, but I fell asleep about an hour into it. Wasn't that it was a bad movie? It's just I have a habit of falling asleep, which really stinks. There's a lot of good movies I've seen. We were watching The Exorcist. You know what? How much that is. Well, what did I do? I fell asleep. So I don't know. It's like, what am I going to do? Try staying up. Maybe I'll get lucky. And right now it's horror movie time. It's always horror movie time. I believe it. Anytime, anywhere. For the right time and place, though. Yes. So what do we got going?
Arnold Schwarzenegger suggests Gavin Newsom should, quote, figure out how to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, unquote, ahead of recall. He has thoughts to share on the California gubernatorial recall election that will wrap up next week. Nearly 20 years after he became governor under similar circumstances. So
I gotta catch the yawns.
It looks like it's a no-brainer right now, according to one report I read, article I read that Gavin Newsom will win. And right now, elder support has finally dropped down some in the polls, and that enthusiasm gap by Democrats being 30 points down in enthusiasm. Now Democrats have, I believe, 1%. They're leading in the enthusiasm gap. So now that's gone. So it looks like Gavin Newsom might actually win.
Okay.
So
how long when do you think he'll know?
Well, obviously the election is next week. Well,
so by next week
will be in 8 days.
Yeah, that's cool. That's for sure.
This is how bad Governor DeSantis, moron DeSantis is. Quote, we are a warning for everyone else. Florida epidemiologists advise other states to learn from DeSantis' COVID bugling. So even they are saying he bungled COVID, and he did worse than bungling COVID. He absolutely savagely missed the deadline for COVID vaccine rates. That shows how badly organized the state is. And if we had free as governor, we would not have such a problem. I'll even take Charlie Crist now. He would be good. He would actually implement COVID restrictions like there should be, and Florida won't be behind. I am realizing that he really is as bad as we all said he is.
Okay.
So
hey, what do you think about the news recently of all the? This is the long weekend, with the holiday and all that.
it was.
And they pulled the plug on most of all the sporting events. Tell you something that somebody should have been doing something to begin with. So I'm sorry to see all these wonderful people, smiles, giggles, laughs, and wondering now, are they going to live or die? Because where they were and where they shouldn't have been with everybody else, and being led by the wrong type of people. So sorry.
70% of unvaccinated Americans would quit their job over exemptionless vaccine mandate. So, this is dumb. I can't stand dumb, stupid people. And that is what we have here. The unvaccinated, 70% would quit their job over exemptionless vaccine mandate. You know how dumb that is? Just abide by the mandate, do your jobs, and stop screwing with everyone else who has his right and her right to have a vaccine and to get the vaccine. It absolutely doesn't make any sense, and we need to have those restrictions because this is a pandemic that is bigger than anything we have seen since the flu in the 1910s. This is how bad it is. 65,000 people died yesterday from COVID, or in total from COVID. It shows that 38,256 died had cases. 354 died from COVID today so far. That we need, because of the unprecedentedness of this crisis, we need better responses from the government, and we need that kind of response. We need people who take this seriously. More on DeSantis and Greg Abbott do not take it seriously. Republicans in governorships in Mississippi, to some extent Alabama, and Georgia, although now I think they finally got him under control, but they are not being taken seriously. They aren't taking the virus seriously, is what I mean. So absolutely what we need is restrictions and vaccine mandates And I'm sorry if maybe you have an exemption, you feel like there should be an exemption because of medical or whatever reasons, but we're at that point where we have to do whatever we can to try to stop and help people who are suffering from this virus, because it is a virus that knows no suffering and knows no bounds. And that is why we need to do whatever we can to try to help these people. And we're not going to be able, without vaccine mandates, we're not going to get any better in helping people out. And that is why, and keeping people safe. And that's why people out. And that's why we need to help as many as we can and get the vaccine.
Hey, you know what's happening is common sense, you know. The way
It is
to
common
to
sense.
fight it. It's common sense to know it is a killer. It's killing you. It's killing your buddy, your young lady friend next door, your aunt, your dad, your mom, your dad. It just goes on and on and on. And we're not going to be able to stop it. We keep on saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. And stop being led by these people into this festivity, that festivity. Come on already. What do you want to do? Oh, gee, yeah, I was there. That was last year. But I died. I didn't make it to the anniversary. Yeah, you know, hey, come on. Get a grip on it, you know, and realize you got to finally group together, dress right, go go proper places rightly. None of these big shindigs or anything. We don't need it. Okay? Come on, please listen. I'm not going to say, hey, stupid, hey, I could. Maybe I should. Maybe I will. But, you know, it's
did.
like I hope that you're not stupid. You know, I hope that you're willing. But put it here. Here we have. There's mom holding her baby.
I
Nice,
will call it stupid.
nice kid. How many other kids you got?
Just
all
get
that.
the damn
And
vaccine.
what did you bring home the other day when you went out to that concert or that sporting event, and you brought it home to your kid?
It's not like the vaccines for smallpox where it costs $7,500 to get it. This is free, and it's something that will help everyone. Don't believe the bull crap that you see on social media and even here on YouTube from people who are anti-vaxxers on the right and who are denying the vaccine and who are pushing these conspiracy that aren't true at all. Don't believe the talk of those people, because they are lying and they're doing it for profit in some cases, because people can profit off conspiracy theories. Look at how much people have profited off of the 9/11 conspiracy theory, for example, for all those years. Look at how many people have defamed and disgustingly shamed the memory of FDR with the whole conspiracy theory regarding Pearl Harbor, that, somehow Pearl Harbor, that there was advanced knowledge or blah, 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 or that there was talk about things that about the destruction of Pearl Harbor.
Hey, I want to say,
It's
you saying about
wrong,
that,
and
Jordan? How about not recent Pearl Harbor? That was years ago. Let's go recent. Let's get the guy. Come on, what the heck? Hey, Bush, You knew about 9/11 before it happened. That's what they
That is
say.
a conspiracy.
And from what I've read, all the papers I've read and all that, I would side with that. It sounds more legit than it wasn't that you didn't know or anything. And of course, come on, let's get the guy. Let's take him home, lock him up.
Yes. Actually, maybe he did know.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
But he certainly. But then again, this is the same guy with the same brain who thought there were WMDs in Iraq, and there were none. We know that for sure. And he got us into a war where we wasted over $2 trillion.
Or, hey, let me say thank you. Thank you, President Biden, for bringing home the troops. Thank you. Thank you. Keep doing good. Keep doing good. Come on. You know what? One comes first. After one comes two, two to three, three.
That and the
figure it out and do
stimulus
it right. And the
are
stimulus.
the two best things he's done in his presidency.
Bring on the stimulus help. Whereas people of all ages, of all.
The problem is he's not going further. We need to go further than the stimulus. We need UBI, which would give $2,000 a month to every single American, regardless of class, regardless of race.
It would work
or
right.
gender.
It would work
That is
right.
what we need.
Come on, please, keep pushing ahead and all that. And I want to make a comment about our vice president. Keep plugging along. You'll do it. You're going to prove your total worth as time goes on. Same will President Biden as well. He's full of surprises. We know you are, for the good of life. And same as your vice president. So we're counting on you. Come on, let's make us all happy. Turn to the left, look at that kid. Turn to the right, look at that kid.
Always turn to the left, because that is what policy
Think about what you need to do. You need to fix. Okay? And with this school stuff, nobody do school right now. Okay? Come on. Doing it at home at homeschooling is a lot better, safer, and everything else. We have no cure yet. We have no cure. Please realize that. Don't let them go to the school, and you're lucky if they'll see next year or the year after. Come on, will you?
Yeah, flash floods threaten U.S. southern states by Hurricane Ida that were hit. So Georgia Republicans are growing anxious over Trump-endorsed candidates' campaign plans. I'm, of course, talking about Herschel Walker, who's the Republican running for Senate, who was endorsed by Trump. And he is now been out of the public eye for a while. So it's interesting that this is the case. What do you think of Herschel Walker?
When I was with Herschel growing up as a viewer, football, because
he's running for Senate now.
In college and all that. He was very very educated, very upstanding young sports person, representing not just football. He did baseball and everything else. Uh, he's just very worthy. And then doing different things, investments, trying different types of sports instead of just the one sport. Uh, he's been pretty fast, uh, pretty rewarding career you saw before his eyes. What do you think?
I think he was an interesting guy. I will say this. He is facing Warnock, who is popular in the state of Georgia. Uh, and there are other candidates who are running for the Senate on the Republican side. So it's hard to say uh, uh, so what could happen there. Texas shows we can't wait any longer. It's time to pack the courts. That is something I was talking about uh, to my brother 2 days ago. And it's something that maybe we should certainly consider, uh, considering the Texas gun law that has been passed and the abortion bill. William Brennan, the great U.S. Supreme Court justice, like the greatest incoming law clerks with a bracingly simple definition of constitutional doctrine. 5 votes. Quote, you can't do anything around here, unquote, Brennan would say, wiggling the fingers of his hand without 5 votes, unquote. He's, of course, referring to the Supreme Court. Underscoring the truth of Brennan's hard-boiled definition was the court's 5-4 ruling this week, with Chief Justice John Roberts in dissent alongside his 3 liberal colleagues to let stand the Texas law that turns ordinary citizens into de facto bounty hunters empowered to sue anyone who performs or aids and abets an abortion on a woman past her 6th week of pregnancy. True, the simple paragraph unsigned majority opinion emphasized that in letting the Texas law take effect, the court was not ruling on the statute's ultimate constitutionality. Texas now has abortion bounty hunters, quote unquote, Sonia Sotomayor's scathing legal dissent. We'll get to that now. Justice Sotomayor wrote a blistering dissent on the U.S. Supreme Court failing to block an extreme Texas abortion law. We are republishing it here. The court's order is stunning, presented with an application to enjoin a flagrantly unconstitutional law engineered to prohibit women from exercising their constitutional rights and evade judicial scrutiny. A majority of justices have opted to bury their heads in the sand. Last night, the court silently acquiesced in the state's enactment of a law that flouts nearly 50 years of federal precedents. Today, the court blatantly explains that it declined to grant relief because of procedural complexities of the state's own invention, because the court's failure to act rewards tactics designed to avoid judicial review and inflicts significant harm on the applicants and on women seeking abortions in Texas. I dissent. May 2021, the Texas legislature enacted SB 8 the act. The act, which took effect statewide at midnight on September 1st, makes it unlawful for physicians to perform abortions if they either detect cardiac activity in an embryo or fail to perform a test to detect such activity. This equates to a near categorical ban on abortions beginning 6 weeks after a woman's last menstrual period. Sorry for before many women realize they are pregnant and months before fetal viability. According to the applicants who are abortion providers and advocates in Texas, the act immediately prohibits care for at least 85% of Texas abortion patients and will force many of abortion clinics to close. The act is clearly unconstitutional under existing precedents. The respondents do not even try to argue otherwise, nor could they. No federal appellate court has upheld such a comprehensive prohibition on abortions before viability under current law. The Texas legislature was well aware of this binding precedent. To circumvent it, the legislature took the extraordinary step of enlisting private citizens to do what the state could not. The act authorizes any private citizen to file a lawsuit against any person who provides an abortion in violation of the act, quote, aids or abets, unquote, such an abortion, including by paying for it. Regardless of whether they know the abortion is prohibited under the act or intends to engage in such conduct, courts are required to enjoin the defendant from engaging in these actions in the future and to award the private citizen plaintiff at least $10,000 in quote statutory unquote damages for each forbidden abortion performed or aided by the defendant. In effect, the Texas legislature has deputized the state's citizens as bounty hunters, offering them cash prizes for civility, prosecuting their neighbors, and medical procedures. The legislatures fashioned this scheme because federal constitutional challenges to state laws ordinarily are brought against state officers from enforcing the act directly and relying instead on citizen bounty hunters. The legislature sought to make it more complicated for federal courts to enjoin the act on a statewide basis. Taken together, the act is a breathtaking act of defiance of the Constitution, of this court's precedents, and of the rights of women seeking abortion throughout Texas. But over 6 weeks after the applicants filed suit to prevent the act from taking effect, a Fifth Circuit panel abruptly stayed all proceedings before the district court and vacated a preliminary injunction hearing that was scheduled to begin on Monday. The applicants requested emergency relief from this court, but the court said nothing. The act took effect at midnight last night. Well, that was from Justice Sotomayor's dissent in Whole Women's Health, ex al v. Austin Reed Jackson, Judge et al. On application for injunctive relief. She was joined by Justices Breyer and Kagan. This text has been lightly edited to remove some legal citations. So, what do you think about this, the Texas abortion law, which a lot of people are talking about? It was a discussion, a big discussion on Meet the Press, for example. Is this the road to go, or do we have to go somewhere else when it comes to abortion rights?
What we need to do is respect the decisions of the mother, whether it be abortion or birth. So there's no way we should have a say over it whatsoever. That's I hate to sound cold, I guess. Yeah, I love kids and all that. But why bring something into the world that's not wanted there? Okay? Now, want it, like they say, by like people who adopt and all that. Yeah, but where the heck are you guys too? It's known throughout the United States that that they're always looking for adoptive parents. They can't find them. They can't find them. What are they doing? You want to bring more into the world, and you won't be able to find a proper home for them. You won't get a proper enjoy what a proper year of trying to have smiles. It's it's, uh, it's the right of the woman at any time during the pregnancy. Yes, you want to set a limit? Sure, that's good. Tell it, girl. Some excuses, like a girl was impregnated but didn't realize it until too late, past the date. That should be for grounds for disqualification on allowing to be a birth. So you always give the possibility to the mother. That's the woman who is going through it physically, who is doing the suffering mentally as well as physically. Come on already. We don't need more mouths to feed. We got too many already out there. Not enough food. That's what I think about it.
Well, well, assuming Biden could find Franklin Roosevelt, frustrated by a reactionary Supreme Court that resisted his New Deal initiative, proposed expanding the Supreme Court's bench to 15. There's nothing magical about the number 9. The Constitution, the Congress changed the amount of of uh,
I like the number 9. Yeah. That's part of my birth number. 29. So, but yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted. It is from those hot rays of sun earlier this morning. Really rough out there.
but there's nothing magical about the number 9. The Supreme Court started with 5 justices, and it was raised by Congress, I believe, 8 times, and from 5 to 6 to 8 to 9 to 10, and then back to 9 in 1869. We need to pack the court and raise the justices to 9. To what President Roosevelt thought, and that was 15. I personally think it should be raised to 10, but maybe to make it even more on our side, 11. These people are unelected. They don't have a lot of autonomy to make their decision. So I think because of that reason, we need to raise the Supreme Court, the court, and pack it and make it 9. 11, and we should also do the same in regards to the lower district courts as well. Franklin Roosevelt, frustrated by a reactionary Supreme Court that resisted his New Deal initiatives, proposed expanding the Supreme Court's bench to 15. That was back in 1937. Congress correctly rejected that court packing plan as an attempt to manipulate the court to generate specific outcomes. Biden, however, could now fairly and legitimately propose expanding the number of justices from 9 to 11. Such an expansion would counterbalance the abuse of constitutional rules that enable the confirmation of Neil Gorsuch and Amy Coney.
I know Leo Corsi. He's one of the Bowery Boys.
Amy Coney Barrett.
I see.
And the installation of the hardcore conservative bloc responsible for the Texas decision. This is not to say the effort would be successful, assuming Biden could find support in the House. Expanding the number of justices would require Democratic senators to first eliminate the filibuster, something that idiot senators Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema staunchly oppose for some reason.
You haven't got rid of those guys yet, huh?
Probably because of special interests, and I'm sure they've received a lot of money from big corporations and from capitalists. And George Orwell, really, George, a so-called socialist, should be ashamed of himself. And we know that Republican lawmakers led by Mitch McConnell would accuse Biden of dangerously politicizing the court, to which we may respond, please. After it was McConnell who, in the wake of Anthony Scalia's death 9 months before the 2016 election, announced, quote, the American people should have a voice in the selection of their next Supreme Court justice. Therefore, this vacancy should not be filled until we have a new president, unquote. Armed with a rule of his own creation and a Republican Senate majority, McConnell frequently refused to grant a hearing to Merrick Garland, Barack Obama's nominee, to fill the Supreme Court justice vacancy ultimately filled by Trump's choice, Neil Gorsuch.
Can I make a side comment about it? You like the show. You like the show. Star Trek, don't you?
What?
Star Trek. You like Star Trek. Well, anyway.
What does this have to do with this?
The way I'm facing you and you're looking into the camera, and I'm looking in and all that. On the side of your head, hold on. Now it looks like you got a little horn. But before, if you look at it, looks like this up here is like your special ear that Spock always had. You know, I know it doesn't make sense, but I kept looking at it, and sometimes it
okay.
like a little. You know.
Back to what I was saying, as the Texas ruling underscores, this is a court far more conservative than the nation whose constitutional meanings it is meant to. But when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died 6 weeks before the 2020 election, McConnell suddenly pronounced a new rule. It turns out the American people should not have a voice in the selection of Supreme Court justice in an election when the incumbent president is a Republican. The confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett did more than install a supermajority of conservatives in the court. The locus of power on the court shifted from more mainstream conservatism of Justice Roberts, who even him is a little more right-wing than normal.
Justice Roberts, you said?
Yeah, the Chief Justice.
Okay.
To the more ideological and rigid extremes of Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. As the Texas ruling underscored, this is a court far more conservative than the nation whose constitutional meanings it is meant to protect.
Can I ask you a question? With Roberts, right? You know all that. Is he still a judge, or did he pass on?
Yeah, of course he's still judge. He's Chief Justice, and it is a court, yes, that owes its composition to try and go out and learn.
Gotta learn.
of anti.
I get
I'm sorry, that was a little mean.
I'll get a book on Monday.
Well, I'll be getting the Idiot's Guide to U.S. Government and Politics. Maybe you should read it.
I could take a peek.
It's a good book.
Yeah, I know.
To the triumph of anti-democratic processes, in which a majority of its members were nominated by a president who lost the popular vote and / or were confirmed by a block of senators selected by a minority of voters. In proposing the addition of 2 additional justices, Biden could hardly be charged with tit-for-tat politics or with politicizing the court. Conservatives would continue to enjoy a 6-5 majority, but with Justice Roberts, a stalwart institutionalist, serving as the swing vote. Were Biden to succeed, such an expansion would make the court more legitimate, not less. So that was a good opinion from the Guardian newspaper, which is a great paper.
Which paper is that?
My favorite, I just said, the Guardian
Guardian.
British newspaper doing American news.
There's a TV, what do you call it? Show on called The Guardian. I've never really seen it, so I can't tell you anything about it. It stars one of my favorite actors, so I forget what his name is. Oh.
Speaking of favorite actors, I just wanted to remind people that the actor Michael K. Williams died at the age of 54. He's best known, most likely, for his performance on the show The Wire, and he will be greatly missed, as I said earlier in the broadcast. So, thank you.
Yeah, I never watched the show. So it's about a computer, I guess, about lawyers.
Well, I will look it up. And admittedly, I have never watched The Wire.
I don't really get into political shows.
I do. I like watching. Well, it depends.
Who the actor is.
It depends on what you mean by political shows, because that could Meet the Press as a political show I like watching.
Yeah, that's cool.
Fox News Sunday, not so much. Okay, that's what the show is about. This series looks at the narcotics scene in Baltimore through the eyes of law enforcers, as well as the drug dealers and users. So that's interesting. So it's about organized crime in the city of Baltimore. There is plenty. I know back in the old days, the Pajarka crime family, I think it's the Pajarkas, used to have a capo regime in Baltimore. They pulled off a lot of serious heists and crime in that city. And I'm going to be buying, in addition to Mafia 2, Mafia 3. I'll be doing that whenever Capital One Bank opens. So I can put my money on my card so I can buy stuff from eBay. So please, Capital One, please, if you're watching this, open up soon, because I can't wait any longer for it.
I look forward to, I think about Maryland. Then after Maryland, I think about Baltimore. Then after Baltimore, I think about Edgar Allan Poe. Magnificent man. One of the greatest authors of all time. So probably one of the top 10, I would say, in the world. So I love his movies they keep making. But we're gonna make some good movies too. You'll have to come see our run of Edgar Allan Poe films. So do it our way. You won't be disappointed. So the hour is approaching.
Yeah, we're approaching our final hour on the show. And curtain divides male and female students as Afghan universities reopen. And here we are, our final hour of the show. In about 29 minutes and 49 seconds, we'll be getting to sports. Although I will warn you, there really isn't much sports news this time.
Wasn't anything to watch on television.
Well, most people stream now, so.
We watched 60 Minutes the other day. That was good. And it had nothing to do about sports.
We didn't watch 60 Minutes.
We don't watch 60 Minutes? Chris Warner saw 60 Minutes. All right. I think we did. But anyway, Face the Nation. That's another good show. They're on against each other. Meet the Nation, I think, is a better show. Overall, if I would rate.
You mean Face the Nation and
Face the Nation.
Meet the Press.
Meet the Press.
Margaret Brett? So, Virginia governor race is heating up, as is the California recall election. And there's lots of talk because the Republican candidate, the main one, Glenn Youngkin, who I think was endorsed by Trump, I'm not entirely sure. He won't confirm his stance on abortion. And I think it's interesting that he is not doing that, because Virginia, which was something of a red state, had a red tilt, is turned blue and is now Democratic everywhere. I personally think Terry McAuliffe will win. I don't see Democrats losing this state. They might, but right now it seems like Youngkin is behind, although it is only by 5 points, which isn't too bad of a...
not that much of a difference. So, good turn either way.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. So, yeah. My computer is at 91%, so
Cool.
that's cool.
Not acting up today. I asked on something to watch tonight. I don't know what's on. Mondays. Well, there's no sports on right now, so there's nothing to choose from there. Could watch a horror movie. That'd be nice. Probably fall asleep. Like I said, the other times I went to watch it, I fell asleep. So that's for sure. And read, that put me to sleep too.
Yeah, we're not talking about reading. This is a politics, sports-driven show.
Oh, I realize that.
Secrets.
Yeah.
Now, another reason to vote for the human infrastructure bill is um, the SSI will be expanded. So that would take 3.3 million people out of poverty. So I think the president is getting it very right when it comes to this bill, and I think that's why members of Congress vote for the human. Please vote for the human infrastructure bill. It is a great bill, and and damn you to those people who are thinking about upstaging that bill, who are trying to stop it, because how can you? It shows the greed of of people that they could be against a bill that would take over 3 million people out of poverty.
Yeah, that bill definitely would help.
It would, and not only that, but it has some pretty good initiatives for climate change in as well.
That's nice. That's a good attitude.
It actually addresses climate change big, although I'm still critical of Biden when it comes to climate, because he has should do a lot more on opposing the pipeline being built in the Dakotas. There needs to be a lot more opposition and opposing than there is. So that's good. FEMA to reimburse residents for generator and chainsaw purchases. So if you paid money for a generator, bought a generator or a chainsaw, FEMA is going to reimburse you and give you the money back. So that is great.
That's good.
I sort of wish we brought a generator because it would have been a needed move. We were without power for a while. That's why we were not. It's been over a week since we've been on the air. So we are sorry for that, but that's just the way it is with hurricane. They can be a twister. So it clearly shows that it is there to be. Right. So Arkansas inmates say they were given ivermectin for COVID-19 without their consent. The anti-parasite drug, we're taking the drug. The anti-parasite drug typically used to deworm horses and cattle has developed an unlikely and baseless reputation as a COVID treatment in humans, despite stern warnings from the Food and Drug Administration. Washington County Jail physician Dr. Robert Carras acknowledged. So, what do you think about this? Do you think maybe they should have been warned, maybe told that this could have happened? Is this maybe a violation of their rights?
I think it's a violation of your rights. Not being notified, regardless of who you are. You're a person. Should be respected, you know. Yeah, they should have did that.
Yeah. So U.S. probing nearly 350 reports of oil spills in wake of Hurricane Ida. I don't think there's another industry other than the military industrial complex, obviously, that has more waste than the oil industry and has more of a detriment to people's lives.
Oh yeah, totally.
And to
You can't
when it comes to
trust it.
spills and accidents, and
It's so easy to die. All it takes is sitting in the one wrong thing. So that's not right.
well, absolutely, and it's hurting people when it comes to climate. Although, and not only that, but we profiteer off of it all the time. That was a big reason why we went in Iraq. It wasn't those WMDs. Bush wanted the oil. That's what they wanted. That's what it is. Even Cheney said, you got to go where the oil is.
Yeah, he did. That's
And-
a famous line.
And that is, it shows just how many people die so often, so much in this world because of oil profiteering and war. And thankfully, we ended another unnecessary war in the Afghanistan war, which was about mineral wealth, which is another thing we have. And the very basis for our opposition to Venezuela is mostly the oil. That's why we have so much opposition and so many people are opposed to Venezuela. And because the U.S. doesn't want the socialist government to succeed. And it wasn't socialism that is leading to its disaster. What it was oil, an increase in oil prices, and the economic sanctions against Venezuela. That is why they are having trouble. So I think we have lots of profiteering, and I think it's something that needs to be looked into by independent investigators, even as so. $35 million to return. This was an issue we talked about in the first hour with the liberal, my brother Perry. 35 million Americans are losing unemployment income today. That's a big punch to the face to so many workers who need that money. And they really, in many cases, need the money. And the reason why they are not getting it is because they are striking because they're not getting paid and getting the benefits they deserve from the jobs that are available right now. That is why. The whole concept of unemployment right now is a capitalist and we really need to realize that pandemic unemployment benefits expire today, leaving 10% of the U.S. population with dramatically less household income. So that's another reason why we need UBI. If we had, you know how much better we all would be if we had UBI?
Yeah.
$2,000 a month for everyone. And it's worked in Chicago. They did it. They've done it in London. London is the best one. In Canada, they're doing it on a national level, I think. And who knows, if it's increased, maybe Trudeau might win. If they do even more UBI and lean into that, maybe I might switch my support to them. Although the New Democrats have a great plan themselves when it comes to UBI. I think theirs is $3,600 a month for every Canadian, which is good. Why aren't they talking about this in Congress right now? There should be a bill out right now implementing UBI. That's something the president, the administration, they should all be in on this. If they do, you know how much Democrats are going to win? They're going to win big. Win with the elections. Florida, in other news, because I'm going to go through it one more article after this. Florida's funeral homes are overwhelmed by COVID-19 deaths. Quote, funerals and funerals and funerals, unquote. This is another example of where moron DeSantis has failed as a governor and as a human being. One of the ways to gauge the COVID-19 surge in a particular state or city is how busy funeral homes become, which is obvious. And in Florida, according to CBS, according to the one news source, employees of funeral homes are absolutely swamped. In July, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported that 1 in 5 new COVID-19 cases in the United States was occurring in Florida. That's how bad. You see why we call him moron? Because can you believe that? 1 in 5. This is his fault for not imposing the right restrictions in place. And it's sad that it took a court to stop him from doing a dangerous precedent. And that precedent, that is him not allowing and staying off the mask mandates in schools and basically fining schools and even teachers themselves for doing the right thing and doing their jobs and implementing sound policy. So, more on DeSantis, Florida's far-right governor, has been receiving a great deal of criticism, and rightfully so, for his response to the COVID-19 surge. DeSantis has opposed social distancing measures, forbidden public schools from having mask mandates, and tried to score cheap political points with his MAGA base, his fascist supporters, by railing against expert Dr. Fauci. So, see, he even went up against Fauci, who is far smarter and intelligent than he could ever be. And the journalist,
much more smart.
Christopher J. Brooks explains, in the week of August, Florida hospitals averaged 279 deaths per day, up from 52 in July. That's a big monster, massive increase.
Yeah, it is.
According to the U.S.
It's like they're kind of being pushed under the rug, so no one really notices.
According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the spike in fatalities, although not yet definitely linked to the coronavirus, is strongly suspected to stem from the ongoing surge in cases caused by the Delta variant. Overall, the state has reported a total of over 44,000 coronavirus deaths over the course of the pandemic, according to a New York Times tracker.
Yes, question. Of course, we're hearing about Florida, and we're talking about Texas and all that. Yeah, they really haven't talked about too much lately. Well, because of what happened with the governor. What about New York? New York had a really bad group of, high number that were infected. I don't know if it's still that way.
That's a blue state.
And it's supposed to be, and same with California. California's got quite a few.
Actually, California is some under control.
Really, okay.
Because the top 25 states, of them all, 24, this is top 25 states in COVID, 24 are red states. 24 are Republican states.
Really?
I mean red by Republican in this case, not red and by my personal politics communism.
Yeah.
But, and I hate the Republicans for stealing our red. That should be our symbol. But right-wing party with red, almost nobody in the world does that.
I like blue. Blue's cool.
It's because of 2000, the whole Bush
Why don't
v.
you try gray?
Be more. That's moronic.
I don't know.
Joke.
Just thinking about colors. Which one do you prefer?
True colors.
Oh yeah, the old Cindy.
That's my favorite Cyndi Lauper song.
Yeah, she's. I see her on commercials every week. Week usually doesn't go by. I don't see her in a commercial.
She's actually not in a lot of commercials.
No, she isn't. I forgot what the commercial's about. Some type of sickness.
Let me bring up something to turn back to abortion for just a brief second. I'm going on Twitter. And because Sheer posted something that got everybody paying attention.
What's that?
On the abortion law. I'm trying to find the tweet. Do we have it? Man, I wish we. Well, she posted something on abortion. And that got a lot of attention from Twitter. Yeah, I don't think we have it. Maybe if I type in hash. Yeah, we don't have it.
Okay.
I'll give up.
All right.
But sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
There was a little technical difficulty. Yeah. So we are about close to 5 minutes to our final half hour, where we will talk about sports. And I think we might wrap up the show early today because there aren't a lot of sports news. So I just wanted to warn our viewers we might wrap up a few things. There is one thing we can talk about, for not having kind of cable, because if we did, we could watch ESPN, and ESPN they had college football. That's what I'm getting at. The college football season started this week.
Yes.
And it was Iowa versus Wisconsin. We saw that game. I watched a little of.
Who won?
And I believe
Iowa versus Wisconsin.
oh, okay. They won't be playing until sometime in October.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was Iowa versus Wisconsin. I'm pretty sure it was, but I guess not.
Uh-huh.
And then we were also talking about T.J. Watt could miss Pittsburgh opener versus Bills amid contract dispute per report. T.J. is... So, yeah. Man busted for stealing 730 pieces of women's underwear from laundromats.
All right.
Why the hell would you do that?
Maybe he's one of the changes his clothes. You know.
Cross-dresser, yeah.
Cross-dresser.
Maybe he's into that.
That's what I was thinking.
Transvestite.
I don't know.
We don't like.
I'm sure it's a very strange situation. They caught him at least, right?
Yeah. School board meetings are quote unquote out of control, but that's the way it's always been. Yeah. South Carolina lawyer Alex Murdaugh to resign from firm and to rehab. Okay. Finally, we found a Democrat who is not doing enough on COVID. Governor Tim Walz was sued by Minnesota parents over lack of mask mandate in schools. Minnesota could also do a little better when it came to union rights. But who knew we would ever find one Democrat doing negligence. No problem. MU coronavirus variant recorded in 167 people in LA County. Maybe that's what you meant earlier by California.
That's a possibility. Because that would be glancing at different reports.
Proton Mail, no, court.com court order leads to the arrest of French climate activists. We support you. Okay, so now it is time for the sports roundup. This is the final half hour where we talk about sports. And again, we will probably wrap up early.
Okay. Well,
Because
roll it out.
there is not a lot of sports to do here. I will say something. Team Europe, not surprisingly, beat the Team USA to defend the Solheim Cup in golf.
Oh, really?
So
We didn't expect
that's
it. By the way they were playing, we
women's
thought they
golf.
won.
No, well, I personally thought Team Europe would win. They win all the time. They've won the past 4 years.
All right.
And the same's the case with the Ryder Cup for men. Team Europe generally has the advantage, even with Tiger Woods. Although when Tiger was younger, back in his younger days, maybe he could have done more to do that.
Hard to beat them.
Red Sox 10, Rays 11, embarrassment at Fenway. At Boston Stadium. So, leading 7. Now we know why it is, because they led 7-1. Boston did, and yet they let the Rays somehow come back from that. How is that possible?
They're advertising a game. I don't know if it was tonight
or
yesterday.
A team to play so poorly after winning by so much.
Yeah, because they were saying that the Yankees played the Astros. I don't remember if it was last night or tonight. So hopefully the Yanks will win.
Terrell Owens still hates former teammate Donovan McNabb, wants to box McNabb and knock him out. Terrell Owens still really hates his former team. Wow. Well, isn't that interesting?
Yeah. They were teammates when they were on Philly. I don't know if Donovan will ever make the Hall of Fame. Has he? Or, I don't know. Terrell probably will. Because Terrell set a lot of records.
Yeah.
He set a lot of records.
Donovan McNabb is poor. I mean that as a football player, not out of wealth. I don't know how much. Although it's something how you have all these athletes who spend so much of their money and they lose it all.
I know.
You know, Scottie Pippen is perhaps the most famous for that.
Yeah, he lost it all.
Yeah.
And he's the type of person who wouldn't think so. From his personality as a Chicago Bull.
Yeah.
I wonder how good Michael is with the money.
Oh, Michael. He's a billionaire.
Yeah, they say he really knows what needs to be done. Oh, we're going to call it early night tonight?
In about 3 minutes and 30 seconds,
Okay.
we will call it a day. But
I
when it gets
apologize for that.
minutes
Just doing that
38.
because there really isn't much right now.
Yeah,
It's
there really
kinda-
isn't much sports
kinda-
news.
with the the hurricane and all still have a major effect.
Not that, but just
Well, not effect.
there's a lack
physically,
of sport
yeah.
of news. How Frank Schwindel and the post-deadline Cubs have won 7 games in a row. Congrats to them. BYU hasn't beaten Utah in football since 2009. That was 12 years ago. BYU hasn't beaten Utah in football since 2009. Can the Cougars break their streak? BYU lost a game since hasn't lost a home game since the 2019 season.
Wow, that's a long way. Long time ago.
Up in smoke, Rib Fest and its fans return to Heinz Field. That's Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
My favorite team in the
Yeah,
NFL.
sure enough.
And I'll be playing as them in a few days when I buy Madden. I'm going to be buying an Xbox 360.
Oh, you are?
And maybe I'll get a Madden NFL 25, which was the old Madden game I had 4 years ago,
All right.
5 years ago, whatever. So, okay, so that's all the time we have for today.
Well, good night.
This is the end.
Have a very good week and all that. Okay?
Yep, I'm the Commie.
And I'm the father. And we'll see you on Wednesday.
Yeah, this has been the Commie
Take care.
and the Liberal. Good.
Fury says see you too.